Hello, my name is Nidia Paulina Carrillo. I'm from Mexico. I'm a lawyer. I was studying in National University of Mexico, University of Bologna, and Institute of Criminal Law of Mexico. So, I want to talk about corruption and open government and digital platforms. Well, about corruption, we know is identified as practice of legal acts such as bribery, fraud, diversion of sources, inflation, bidding, extortion, nepotism, or use of electronic or material means to achieve a personal benefit. So the complexity of corruption is based on a multifactorial problem which affects the entire government structure and the insert in grows and extends inside government institutions to the business sector. In such a way, the networks are made until reaching to point of making an extremely complicated to eradicate, since it becomes a constant practice to which becomes natural to tolerate this type of illicit behavior. The consequences. Well, the effects of corruption always be negative. The political and economic cost, it's here. The population senile violation of human rights, the socio-economic backwardness, and the increased inequality inside society. How to fight it? In order to face it, it's necessary to know punctually certain aspects to are fundamental, are located in the sector where is the beginning, regenerating, measuring, identify the causes and observing where is the begin to reproduce and modus operandi. In this way, diagnosis can be made in order to exhibit the results of the variables and starting to act to concrete actions like applying public policies to reduce corruption, legislate and regulate the performance of administrative function, public procedure, and delivery of justice. So, strengthen government institutions, clean up the public security bodies, also as well the administration of justice, give security and protection those who report this type of behavior, and accompanying the throughout all the process. So, it's essential to locate at first, then control, and finally dismantle it. Where is this point of corruption? So the key functions of fight against corruption, supporting in public institutions as well as citizen association, business groups, and journalism that influence the action of public functionaries in concrete, audits, accountability, insect system in structure of governments, control and supervisions, preventing informative actions, unrestricted respect for the laws and rule of laws, so the due process and system of sanctions. At international level, we have a civil association called Transparency International that is present in more than 100 countries, carry out corruption perception studies, as well as International Convention Against Corruption, and following up the persecute of corruption leaders and series the well-acquired international elections. And the losses in the companies are responsibility of their behavior. So corruption is such a serious problem. It's necessary to fight it effectively, not only less vulnerable in society, but also the rights of each of individuals that inhabit his land, eradicate poverty, quality education, and carrying a life of quality. So in 2017, the first places with fewer causes of corruption are reported. We find New Zealand, and Denmark and Finland. And the countries with the highest corruption rates are Africans like Somali, Sudan and Syria, which we observed in the last places are the states where poverty emerged, its low per capita rates and low level of education and finances. So most of them are African and some of them are in Asia. In the Latin America region, the countries with lowest corruption rates, we have Uruguay, but in the first place is Canada and United States in second. And the most corrupt in Latin America, we have Venezuela and Haiti and Nicaragua, which are also places in this position in the region, only below the observation. The political, social and economic situation is somewhat different, since there are variations on these per capita indices of the states according to the figure of Economic Commission for Latin America and Caribbean, without meeting the political election crisis. However, in the case of Mexico, during 2012 and 2013, it was ranked 34 positions and increased upon 35. However, it's a fall, so now we are at 28th position on international side. In case of open government, we have three pillars like transparency, collaboration, participation, and the use of the new technologies, and that they use open government and use the participation of the citizens to increase the levels in financial cases and economic, so to make too transparent, sensitive, and responsible and effective. So the participation is essential as well as inclusion. However, they highlights the use of technology by proximity and effectivity of the response in the time and form to the social demands and dissemination of the government exercises, as well as transparency and accountability. About transparency, we have access to information and disclosure about government activities and the levels of governments, and the public data on public spending and performance of essential public services and activities. Activity provide information and timely manner, so promote to access by civil society to public data, as well as facilitate government information systems to feedback to improve access. About participation and citizens collaboration in decisions making, a policy formulation through transparency policy making and decision making established to use ways to request public opinions, plebiscite, consulting, votes to increase public participation, monitoring and evaluation of government activities. Protect non-profit organizations and civil society, so their operation and inconsistent without commitment to freedom of expression, association and opinion. Creates mechanisms that contribute to collaboration between government and civil society organizations and companies. High standards of professional integrity in the government, define policies, practices, and solid mechanisms against corruption that guarantee transparency in the management of public finances and government policies. The legal framework to make public the information on the income and assets of senior national civil employees, making available to public information on activity, effectivity of our body's securities, ensures enforcing and preventing laws against corruption, as well the procedures for recourse to those bodies, respect the confidentiality of specific information relative of the application of the laws, and how to use the new technologies inside the government, so making the government function more effectively also contributes to open data and accountability to the citizens, since there are exchange in the information and public participation and collaboration. Creation of online accessibility and save the spaces and webs as platforms from provision of services, the participation of the public and the exchange of information and ideas for making better that function of government. Increase inline and mobile connectivity and promoting the user mechanism for the citizen participation. Support, develop and renew the use technological innovation by public employees and citizens. The exercise in Mexico to fight corruption. While the levels of corruption in Mexico are high, and according to the Transparency International studies that measure the corruption has been increased. So the last decades we had many ex-governments cause a shock in this country because they have been involved in crimes against health and money laundering and crime, organized crime, operation with resources of illicit origin and tax fraud, illicit enrichment and diversion of resources, illegal operation, electoral crimes, abuse of authority, and more crimes that type. So civil society become a starting initiative anti-corruption. So that's the break point, and that initiative called Law 303. So they considered it in a single system after the constitutionally reform of 2015, which coordinates the performance of the 7 sectors inside the government. So includes the control and audit, prosecute and delivery of justice, transparency and accountability, not forgetting the point of the sustainability of creating a citizen committee that have an intervention in regard to performance of the coordinating committee of national anti-corruption system. So the digital platforms are necessary instruments to combat corruption. They constitute a tools with which the state counts in the order that the public entities can concentrate and systematize and analyze the pertinent information for the prevent and detection and sanction acts of corruption in such a way that with management, operation, equipment and maintenance of the systems that integrate this platform will achieve a better management of the information, saving time in research, crossing the information, and adequate integration of audit responsibilities, since these platforms is establishment an essential pillar in the function of the system, and this sense is a huge step for the legal framework in the rule of law, which aims to guarantee transparency, accountability, and bring better control over the use of public resources in a favor to open government. So corruption not only includes the public sector but also the private sector, and among these, prior to the constitutional and legal reform in Mexico in 2015 and 2016. So only the responsibility of public functionaries was envisaged. Now to the power of the authorities opened both internal control audits, also individuals and corporations. The digital platform is a fundamental pillar since it contains the information necessary to arrive at a satisfactory investigation. The Mexican National Anti-Corruption System contains several systems inside the platform, taking a reference to a stage in which technology's progress has exceeded expectation and the modus vivendi of society. In this way, we can perform previously unimaginable actions in a state that they will always go to posteriori of what is happening nowadays. So, National Digital Platform, contained in the fourth title of the General Law in the National Anti-Corruption System, so indicates that the coordinate committee of the National Anti-Corruption System is the responsible for establish coordination mechanisms among the members of the national system, promotion the evaluation of public policies to combat corruption. The first system of information and communication of the national system digitals tool that allows to centralize the information of all the member organs of the same, include the federal and state and possibility municipal orders. The fifth system is the national control. It contains the annual auditing programs and supervisory bodies of the three levels of government. The reports that they made public in the terms of applicable legal dispositions, as well as a database that allows the adequate exchange of information among the members of the national system of inspections. So the sixth system is of the public denunciations and administrative offenses and acts of corruption. The system contains the administration offense of the General Law on Administrative Responsibility. The Title 3 administrates the faults of public servants and acts individually. So, and also annexed corruption federal criminal code. The seventh system of public information of contracting will be satisfied with the public information sent to competent authorities to the coordinate and committee. Okay. The platform is established as the pillar of the national corruption system. includes the main mechanism for sharing and concentrate, systematizing, and analyze the pertinent information for prevention, detection, and sanction of acts of corruption. And this sense is a huge step for the legal framework in the Mexican state of law, which aims to guarantee transparency, accountability, and the better control over the use of public research in a favor to open government and according to principles to that government and the national corruption system, legality, objectivity, professionalism, and honesty. Now, what is still lacking in the reform of the national anti-corruption system? The application of intelligence software that carries out the simplification and crossing the information contains in that base. So that is the database made of 27 systems, like I said, of the National Digital Platform, managing to link data to public servants, individualism, companies' increase of patrimony, dates, institutions, process of adjudications, audits, administrative and penal sanctions. This is to the system of patrimonial evolution, of declaration interest, and constants to presentations, taxes, declaration. It should be combined with the results of dates in which a certain public functionary was working in the public contracting area and was the company that will be resulted winner and bidding process, invitation restricted to last at least 3 people or direct award. At these junctions, the results of the system public donations of administrative offense and acts of corruption will be added in this program, and we can have all the information crossed, and that will be the better program using intelligent software. So finally, the fight against corruption comes from a structural renovation within open government through its fundamental pillars of transparency, citizen participation and collaboration, information and communication technologies based on the norm and policies and programs that the government implements, referring to public institutions and implementing policies to prevent corrupt behavior, transmitting to every citizen through the campaigns the broad the chain of corruptions and respect for the rights to good administration and function of governments, as well relying on technologies such as digital platforms to cross information so that with smart programs we can be made more effective and expeditious investigation, and it turned the resolution of cases presented by corruption. What is the most also attend promptly to combat corruption is the set possibly goals and objectives in the short and medium and long term, with perfectly delineated objectives to achieve, if not immediately, to goals set, moving towards to tasks to have to lead us, being interested either from the public sector, private and civil society. Under this chain, will we have to break with this change of corruption and eradicate it for social welfare, for the state and lower dignity of the states. So we have to use the technology and use the pillars of open government, and we have to eradicate the corruption. Also, we have a huge responsibility to break the chains of corruption. So thank you very much. I send greetings to Paris.